Welcome to the Serious Shift Blogcast. We have only one question. What does Serious Shift mean to you? To answer that and much more, here's your host, Dennis Moseley-Williams.
Hi, I'm Dennis, and welcome back one more time to the Serious Shift Blogcast. It's really nice to have some time with you today. As you can see, my surroundings have changed. I've left the lake, my children are back in school, and I am back on the road. I'm beaming in this morning from Indianapolis, which is a lovely and underrated town. In 20-some years of flying around, I've only been here 3 times, and every time I come, I have the same impression, which is it's quite a lovely spot. Generally speaking, I start my blogs by asking you a question. Today, I'm going to ask you 4 questions at the end, okay? But I want to start by telling you the story of yesterday. So yesterday, I took my 2 first flights, and on my second flight from Toronto to Indianapolis, I sit beside this really nice gentleman. His name is John. John is coming to Indianapolis for a trade show. John sells adhesive, glue. More specifically, he sells adhesive that is used in the automotive industry to put windscreens on cars. Windshields, I beg your pardon, on cars. So if you break your window and you pull your car into one of those little service stations and you order a new windshield and they put it on, he sells the glue that holds it on, okay? So I say, oh, isn't that interesting? He says, yeah, what do you do? I tell him. He says, how could you help me sell more adhesive? So I tell him about the experience economy. I give him some examples about Geek Squad. I explain that if you stage experiences, you're still in the goods and services business, but you could charge more, etc., etc. We kind of kick some ideas around for a little bit, and then he says something amazing. He more or less says, yeah, things aren't going well. I tell him I can't figure out how to fix that. You don't much have a retail presence. It really is a wholesale item, and from everything John told me, some other companies got everybody licked. You know, I said, I don't know. That's out of my depth. That's not what I don't know. But I've done my best to help you. But it was something else that he said that I jumped on. I said, wait a second. And it became what we spoke about the entire flight. And I kept thinking about you and the things that you say and speak about and ask your clients about. What he said was, I came out of retirement after 1.5 years. I said, you what? He retired for 1.5 years unsuccessfully and then returned to work. And you're gonna have to trust me on this. John, just by looking at him, is a man of means. He didn't come back to work because he realized he needed a little bit more spending money. That's not his problem. In fact, I said to him, hey John, help me out here. Do you own a home do you live in Toronto? He says, oh yeah, just outside of Toronto, but yes. I said, okay. Do you own your home? And he says, yeah. I say, okay. Blow your house out, I say. Blow that thing out. I said, do you have any children? He and his wife have no children. His wife's name is also Sherry, by the way. There you go. I go, you and Sherry have no kids, and you own your home. I said, your house must be worth $1.5 million. Okay? And he sort of makes a face. He goes, something probably like that. Later in the story, he confesses that his house is on a little lake outside of Toronto, and that vacant lots or teardowns sell for $1 million on that lake. So he's got some cash. So I say to him, John, can I ask you a question? Why don't you do this? Why don't you quit? Why don't you quit trying to sell adhesives, for goodness sakes? It can't be inspiring. Here we are on a RJ jet flying to Indianapolis together. Why don't you quit? And why don't you sell your house and you take your great big pile of money from selling your house and you put it on your other large pile of money. And I said to him, we can pretend you don't have one, but we both kind of know that you do. And he had a little chuckle about that, right? So I said, so you throw that on a big pile. How much money you got there, I say. And I tell him, I said, don't tell me out loud, just in your own head, how much money have you now got in a big pile? And I point out that the interest he'll earn on that big giant pile of money while renting a beautiful apartment, he can do anything. I said, you're just retire. And then I say, why wouldn't you do this? And this is the idea I give him. And I'm a stranger. We're just sitting on the plane, shooting her back and forth. I've confessed to him that I just spent all summer at the lake. I told him how weird I am, that I don't want to scale my business, and all this stuff. I said, what if your second job was giving all your money away? I said, you don't have to suffer. I'm not asking you to move into a, shelter and eat at the soup kitchen. I'm saying if you had $3-4 million in a pile, John, right? You could easily live off of it with a tidy little income, and you and Sherry, your whole job could be charity. managing that money and giving it away and starting little things and getting other people involved. Okay, what's crazy is while I'm talking to him, he's not looking more and more nervous. He's not looking like, oh boy, I got a live one here. I should have just watched my iPad. He's in. He thinks it's fascinating and interesting. I start telling him what I'd do if I could do it. I said, oh my goodness, if I could do what you could do, if I could do that right now, that's what I'd do. I'd retire, I said, and my whole job would become giving away my money and empowering entrepreneurs. And I'd go into little towns. I'm from Canada, these little cities on the frontier that are fading away. And I would go in there and I'd find the local business community. And I'd be the first mover. I'd be the first one to put my money in. And I'd organize this sort of entrepreneurial coaching, et cetera, et cetera. He's listening to me. He's getting excited. I say, you could be doing this with your all across the country. You and Sherry fly out. And what do you want? You want an opportunity to speak through the media and find other people like you in the community and create an avenue for them to donate money to people who need it for this great cause, blah, blah, blah. Or you can fly to Indianapolis and try and sell adhesives. Okay, now it's all about you here. Not for the first time, I'm sitting with a stranger talking to them about their money, and it occurs to me that I'm talking about something with them that nobody's ever spoken to about. That, like, he's looking at me thinking, why doesn't anybody else talk to me about this? Okay? He had told me in our conversation, he said, oh, I work with this firm in Canada. I said, oh, that's a very good firm. And they are a very good firm. I said, oh, that's a really good firm. You're going to be happy there. He goes, yeah, well, my advisor was there, but he retired. So I got introduced to a new advisor. I went and I met the new advisor. I don't really know. I don't really like him. I asked him what he, if we work together, what will you do? And the advisor told him what he would do. I would take your assets and I would build a portfolio like this, full stop. To which I said to John, okay, well, first of all, that's really good advice. Like, I'm no expert, but I'm expert enough. That's really good advice. What he's doing isn't bad. To which John goes, yeah, but if that's all he's going to do, why wouldn't I just do that on my own? So for all the financial advisors who watch my blog, I want you to know, I said, well, because knowing to buy something is really, really easy. Knowing to hold it isn't so easy. Knowing when to sell it isn't so easy. Financial planning isn't easy, and knowing when to sell something isn't easy. That for the price you can actually have a professional financial advisor in your corner, on your shoulder, whisper in your ear, telling you it's okay, it's a really good deal. Okay, end of story, full stop. But his point is, man, all this guy did was tell me, well, for this much money, for this fee, 1%, this is what I'd do. And I'd monitor it. And he goes, I leave the office saying, well, why wouldn't I just do it on my own? And I've already told you all the things I said. Well, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. But he is getting at something else, which is what I just talked to you about, which is nobody's talking to him about anything good. Okay? He's at a different place. If I'm your client, you can talk to me about accumulation, et cetera, et cetera. This guy's in another place. Okay? It's meaning. He's arrived. He's guided by different stars now. And in fact, all of us are. So without any further goofing around here, let me give you these 4 questions. Here's my first question. Who's your next client? Okay, who is she? And I don't mean specifically, oh, it's Mary Smith. She's coming in at 11. I mean conceptually. Okay? Who is your next client? What's her outlook? Okay? Does anybody ever ask John that when he sat down with a new advisor? What's your outlook? Who are you affiliated with? Who are your people? And what are your hopes and dreams and wants? Or put more specifically, what Tom Frisbee would say, what does she want? And the answer isn't your services. That would be what she needs, okay? Needs and wants are really different, and they come from different places. John has needs, financial planning, tax planning, investment strategy, yada, 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 yada. He can get them anywhere. But what his biggest need is want. The poor man came out of retirement to fly to Indianapolis to stand in a trade show for 8 hours and drink coffee out of a paper cup. It's a fate worse than death. Here's my next question. What's the story she tells herself about the world? About her business, her situation, and how everything works. Okay, so before she met you, what's the story she tells herself? Can you stage an experience in a way that helps her trust you and the story that you're telling her and the benefits that you're going to bring to her life? Okay, and I guess the final question would be, who are you trying to help these people become? I sat with John, a complete stranger on the airplane, And within a 90-minute flight, and let's say for the first 30 minutes we didn't chat too much, and then we started chatting, for the next hour, the poor guy, I'm gonna imitate him. He was like this in the airplane the whole way, looking at me sideways, the poor devil. He's probably got a stiff neck today. I had a conversation with him for 1 hour that I could tell just talking to him. And I don't mean to, because I sent him an email and I told him sign up for my blog. So John, you might be watching this and I don't want you to think I'm making fun of you. I'm not. I'm telling you, man, I could see when I was talking to you that you'd never thought about these things before, which is amazing to me. And you're a person of means. You can do some good. And the other thing I saw is you were really excited about it. Okay, he was excited. Okay, like, wow, you're right. And all I was doing as a total stranger was figuring out who this person was and asking him, have you ever thought of these things? And meanwhile, he sits down telling me, yeah, I don't know about the value I'm getting from my advisor. As I have said 50 million times, value, understand what it is. It's not discounting your services. It's not commoditization. It's not. The value is who you're helping your customers become. That's value. What are the big questions that I say over and over about every third blog? What do you do very, very specifically, for whom very specifically, and what change do you help create? I pointed out to John that his entire world could be worthy of one of those big obituaries that goes in the national newspaper when the newspaper wants all Canadians to know this great person has left us and they are worthy of a write-up because look what they did. Instead, John, when I said to him, I know, what are you supposed to do, retire and go golfing? And he just shuddered. He just shuddered. What are the questions you're asking your clients? Okay? And who are you helping them become? And are you selling yourself short and just talking about investments and advice and security and the rest of it? I mean, my goodness, at what age do we earn the right to dream a little bit? You know what I mean? Anyhow, everybody, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. It means a lot. I'll see you again in a couple of days. Have a wonderful morning and day wherever you are. Do some good. Treat somebody really, really nicely. Ask better questions. Watch this blog a few times. Talk to you soon. Or rather read the blog that I've accompanied with the video. Okay. Thanks so much. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.
We hope you enjoyed the Serious Shift Blogcast. We would love any suggestions, feedback on topics, ideas, or challenges that may have you feeling stuck. Also, please leave a 5-star review wherever you are enjoying this content. It helps Dennis out tremendously. One last thing, if you would like to take your game to the next level, go visit SeriousShift.com and download for free our latest white paper. It will seriously begin to help you shift. On behalf of Dennis and the team, see you next episode.